It's that time of the year where we talk about contenders. I know everyone's gonna think to themselves, hasn't everyone already figured out what whatever, shut up. So, uh, for the annoying audience at home, yes, the annoying audience, everyone else's excuse. You guys are getting on my nerves. Shut up. For everyone else, contenders are a very hard thing to really like discover. It's like no, everyone knows the upper echelon of them. Like those are pretty like good and easy to like determine. There, it's hard. It's easy to determine teams that are also just straight up not in contention for a championship at all whatsoever. Um, and then there are those dark horse teams where everyone agrees like yeah they got a shot, right? What's the hardest thing to really identify is pretenders. So this video is more about pretenders than it is contenders, right? And at this point in the season, I feel like we've seen every matchup of the echelons and the tiers, and you kind of know which team is where they're going to be, especially considering how they matched up against teams that are either in their tier or above or below, right? There are certain teams that have will throughout NBA history that'll have like high win totals, that everyone knows is just not going to succeed nearly as well as they did in the regular season as they did in the playoffs. Those teams would be even those teams, right? To be quite fair to those teams, like the Atlanta Hawks of 2015, we knew they were not beating the Cavs, right? Everyone knew that. A lot of teams that were in that era where they were better than LeBron's team in the seeding in the regular season. We knew when like playoff time came that something would go catastrophically wrong for this team, or just hey, this team is really dependent on everybody. If everybody's not healthy, this is gonna fucking blow up, right? So for me, for you to be in a contender status, you need to have that star that is so dynamic, so bright, and really transcends and changes the game, right? You need to have a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a Wemby, a ooh, a Cade Cunningham, a Luka Doncic, an Anthony Edwards, and those types of guys. To even be in contender status, but you also need to have in these other cases, you need to have a Julius Randle, you need to have an Austin Reeves, and another people and a LeBron James combination of those two guys to really get that job done. You need to have a Jalen Williams, a Jalen Williams type figure to the roster for they had last year. I know the Thunder are gonna get their production through others, and Shai is transcendent enough to actually make it whereas though the others job is a lot easier, and a lot of the others on the roster, it's a full roster of others. Like it's really, and there are levels to the others, but like they can get production from like everybody on that team, right? The Spurs, I feel the exact same way. De'Aaron Fox is supposed to be the number two guy. Stephon Castle could be the number two guy, right? But literally outside of those guys, they've got Devin Vassell, they've got Julian Champagnie, Harrison Barnes can give them production. Um, um, uh, Jeez. Like, as long as they're not playing guys like Lindy Waters in the playoffs, obviously they'll be fine. Luke Cornett can give you, like, moments and stuff. And by the way, I'm sorry that I didn't mention these guys in the guys tier, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. So, they're so close to each other, especially at this point in the season, and, like, legacy, blah, 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 blah. The Jays, they're their own situation, to be honest. They're so different from everybody else because they're their own situation. The only way that you could say that the Jays are similar to a team is if you think that, like, Shai and the version of Jalen Williams that we saw last year are very comparable and close to each other, and specifically the finals. And specifically the finals. Like, the production that we were getting from those guys at that point in time was like that. Which, debatable. Debatable. Really debatable. I mean, like, if you look at it, especially considering how crazy Jalen Williams is going off in, like, the latter half of that series, yeah, I mean, Shai's team, duh, but, like, Jalen Williams wasn't fucking a slouch. No one can say that he wasn't clearly the second best guy. All right, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like we all have an idea who I think contenders are, and let me really quickly address teams that are just I don't care what they do. They can make it as far as the conference finals. They ain't winning shit. It's not happening. Houston, not winning anything. Orlando will never even be in that position to be in that situation. The Pistons without Cade Cunningham, they could find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I promise you, if they find a way, and based on this how the seeding is set up right now, if they find a way to beat the Cavs in the second round, I promise you on everything, they are not going further, dog. How would the Cavs fuck that up? I have no idea. But they're not going further than that. I just no Cade, no top 10 player in the NBA, no top 10 player in the world, no best American guy right now. Like, nope, not winning shit. Can't happen. Sorry. Cade, like, they're suffering. And I know people are going to say to yourself, what about the Nuggets, right? I think the Nuggets are pretenders. I think they are pretenders, and I'm tired of pretending that they are in contention. Their defense is awful. Awful. Bad. Really bad. And I'm so serious when I say this. They could find themselves in trouble if they match up against the Wolves. They could find themselves in trouble if they match up against the Suns. Every matchup that I'm seeing from them in the first round, I'm scared for them. Like, genuinely worried about them. Because I don't think they beat anyone that's not Houston in the first round. I think if they match up against LA, that's going to be a problem. I think if they match up against Minnesota in the first round, that's going to be a problem. I think if they match up against the Phoenix Suns, and I know everyone's saying this, the Phoenix Suns, you mean the team that you told me should trade their franchise guy in the off? Yes, that team is going to give them problems. And it's not because that this team is not talented enough. It's not because they don't have a secondary guy that's good enough. It's not because they don't have a third guy that's good enough. It's not because Cam Johnson has been completely underwhelming. It's the defense as a whole is horseshit. This team's defense is awful. They are not a top 10 defense. And to be in this discussion of being able to win a championship, I'm sorry, you need to be at least top 15-ish at any of these categories. They are in such close games despite being clearly the best offense in the league because of the defections and problems that we have with Nikola Jokic. And him not being... And the same way we get on Luka, Jokic gets by because he has winning bias. Jokic gets by because he has MVPs. Jokic gets by. They are the same caliber player. And I'm tired of pretending that they're not. They're the same guy. One of them is bigger and one of them is smaller and has a higher usage rate. They are the same nigga, bro. They are. They just are. Right? And the problems that you have with these guys, I don't have with a Shea. I don't have with a Wemby. I don't have with a Jason Tatum because these guys are all serviceable defenders. When they get if you switch on to Shea, guess what, buddy? That's not an easy matchup. You better look for AJ Mitchell or Jarrett McCain to be on the floor. You better look for Jalen Williams to be coming back from injury when you switch on to those guys. When you're on the floor and you get switched on to Jason Tatum, you better pray to God Derek White is somewhere on that floor right now and that you're going to match up against him. And that when you do match up against him, that Tatum isn't sitting there roaming. And you want Tatum to put Tatum in action because he's their offensive guy and they need production from this guy offensively. They need production from Jaylen Brown offensively. But I'm sorry, you matching up into one of those guys is a nightmare. It's bad. When Cade was healthy, if you match up into Cade, oh my God, please, Dennis Jacob, come with save me. Put me on Tobias Harris. Give me the Tobias Harris switch immediately. Hope that I find somebody like that. I'm screwed if I'm on these guys. If I'm on Jokic and Luka, I love that matchup. Give me them. Feed me these guys. They suck on defense. They are going to be a problem. You cannot contend with them. They're not useful. I do not think that the way that the roster is built in LA, they just can't. I'm sorry. They have the exact same flaws that they had last year. I mean, they weren't contenders last year, and they have a worse version of LeBron James, and they have a worse version of Austin Reeves as of late. I will say as of late because at the start of the season, Austin Reeves was amazing, and everything up to All-Star break, amazing. Everything since. No, not 6-7. Literally just the right. It's been weird. And they don't have enough defensive guys. And credit to the Nuggets, they have some defensive guys, and they also have the best offense in the league. But they're the same thing as the Lakers. They're the same. They're two sides of the same coin. And if I don't think the Lakers are contenders, I can't think that the Nuggets are. Especially not because they won a championship 3 years ago. Newsflash. Yesterday's price is not today's price. They're not winning. It's not happening. What you need to win today is different. Crazy, right? And I know people are going to say to themselves, so you're discrediting the championship? No, I didn't say, oh, God, they better pray to God they face all play-in teams the entire bracket. The OKC Thunder better pray to God that in Game 7, the best player in the NBA team is hurt. That's stupid. That's dumb. You don't discredit a ring because the niggas won the ring. Womp womp, cry me a river. I'm going to put an asterisk on every championship if we're doing that. You're being picky. Don't be picky just because you don't like it. Suck it up. Cry. Because your team didn't win that year, buddy. And even when your team did win that year, you should be like, yay. Anyway, let's talk about the teams that are actually in contender status. By the way, why haven't I mentioned Cleveland? Why haven't I mentioned Cleveland? Okay, I'll tell you why I haven't mentioned Cleveland. I'll tell you why. I'm gonna put my britches on. I'm gonna tell you. This team disappoints me every single night that they play basketball. That's why they're not in the contention status. This team is injured to hell and back. That's why they're not in contender status. This team has given up on players way too early, and they have problems. I don't want to say that they couldn't give up. She shouldn't have given up on Darius Garland because it was too soon. It was too early. I have seen Darius Garland play on the Clippers. I am content in saying this. He was rushed back too early. He was not fully healthy. And I'm going to be honest though, the problems that we would have had with Darius Garland being on the roster are not nearly as bad. Because remember when I was telling you, oh my God, you better pray to God. When I see the team's best player in like a Donovan Mitchell, and I'm like, okay, bro, I'm not looking for Donovan Mitchell. You would have been, guess who you would have been looking for? You would have been looking for Darius Garland on the floor. He's not there, buddy. He doesn't exist. Now that he's not on the roster, and you're like, oh, fuck, the switch is James Harden. And I know people are going to say to themselves, the switch is James Harden. Isn't James Harden not bad? You are living in 2018. You are living in 2016. It's not 2018, 2016. It's a different player, dog. Well, his offensive production is also not what it was in 2016, 2018. Yeah, but everyone's coped with that one, buddy, and he's the second best player on the team. Really, he needs to be the third. Mobley needs to take that step. But he makes Mobley better. He makes Strus better. He makes these other players around him so much better than I think Garland could make these guys. Because he has more pressure as a slasher, and he also is just bigger, and he's also not the liability on defense, and just having the ability to play him next to a Donovan Mitchell helps. Yeah, bro, because I don't know who needs to hear this. He is genuinely not. He was never going to be in a position where he was going to be like Steph Curry, where he could be a serviceable to good defender, or a savvy, smart guy on the veterans thing. And I know you're saying to yourself, Curry's not a great defender. Yeah, you clearly did not watch the run they had when they won the championship. Curry was a good defender in that series. He was a good defender in the series in the Celtics. He was a good defender one against Dallas. He was a good defender. That the allegations that we were talking about, and I'm not. And I know you're saying to yourself, isn't Luka a better defender than Jokic? Yes, bro. Yes. He's not as close to Steph Curry was in that year defensively as these guys are. And the offense is, hey, bro, it's comparable. All right. They are, I'm going to be biased, whatever I say. If I say they're pretenders and they show up and they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and they make it through the finals or whatever, everyone's going to shit on me. If I say that they're not, if I say that I really believe in this team this year, I'm going to put my fucking clown hat on and my goddamn wig and shit, and everyone's going to be looking at me like I'm crazy. If I say that this team is just a pretender, no one's going to bat a fucking eye, right? And I don't feel like politicking over my favorite team, bro. I'm not doing it. Whatever you think the Cleveland Cavaliers are, you're probably right. Because whatever I'm going to say is going to be wrong no matter what I do. Because I've said they're pretenders, they're going to show up and turn up in the playoffs somehow. I'll say they're pretenders, so they turn up in the playoffs. All right, cool. Let's talk about the East. East has one team that's really firmly a contender. I think I did a version of this recording previously. One, it was in my kitchen, so it wasn't going to go up to the YouTube channel regardless of what I did. And two, more importantly than the fact that it was in my kitchen, I feel like I spent way too much time addressing why teams are bad and why they're not going to be shit in the playoffs. I spent less time. I talked about those teams obviously earlier in this video, but let me address why. Paulo Banchero is awful. Paulo Banchero is awful. He's completely redundant and reductive when you have him next to a Franz Wagner, and he is just also one of the worst jump shooters of all time. By volume, remember how we were like, oh, dude, Russ is one of the worst shooters of all time by volume? Yeah, he's worse than Russ. He is leagues worse than Russ. Since they've been tracking the stats, he is the fucking worst. From anyone who takes the amount of volume that he takes, he is awful. He is god awful. And Franz has been developing a 3-point shooter. This idea of whose team is it really? Is it Paulo's team or is it It's Franz's team. It's Franz's team. No more need to address that. It's Franz's team. He's bad. He's really bad. I know a lot of people are going to be like, I looked at the numbers and I was thinking to myself, it's a spacing on the team, right? No, it's not just a spacing on the team, because I compared him to another guy who I think has similar spacing, who's had similar spacing over the past 2 years, and has also been in the situation where like everyone's like, oh, they're around the relative teams. The Pistons and him, he is dog shit, and that is his problem. Cade is a much better jump shooter than him, and that is the problem. By the way, they had an over-reliance on Cade, but I still think Cade and the Pistons would have been contenders if they were healthy, obviously, because they held on to the lead that they built and established throughout the season really well, and they played against top contender teams, and they've also played well against those teams, and their strand of basketball was going to be even better in the postseason. I'm so upset that we're not going to see Cade Cunningham because of a fucking collapsed lung, bro. Like, this and Wemby's blood clots last year are two of the most, like, heartbreaking things that has ever happened to a general NBA fan, bro. That shit is ass. I hate that. I am wishing him the speediest of recoveries, and I hope they don't try and force him back into the postseason no matter what. That is something that should end this season. If you were confident in this team as is, you should be confident in this team being better next year with a healthy Jalen Duren, and that this team will be able to contend with this Boston Celtics next year. That is what you should be worried about. You'll be able to contend with a healthy Cleveland Cavaliers team next season. And the New York Knicks. Oh, damn. I didn't even trust the Knicks. I'm sorry, guys. Let me come quickly and tell you why I don't believe in the New York Knicks, and I never will believe in the New York Knicks as long as they have Karl-Anthony Towns on the roster. I think that the Karl-Anthony Towns and Julius Randle trade was an absolute smash and a win for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And now you're saying to yourself, how could the Timberwolves and both of these teams have had the exact same amount of success in the exact same amount of time, right? I know you're thinking to yourself, the previous year before they traded them, they were both in the Eastern Conference Finals, basically, right? Yeah, true. You're right. And then the year after that, when they both had these guys, they made it to the East and Western Conference Finals, respectively. Correct. True. Absolutely right. You'd be spot on for those 6. I'm actually not sure if the Knicks made it the year prior, but don't worry about that. Why do I say this is smash? Cat is about to make so much money, it's ridiculous. And I know this team is predicated and built around that. He is making way too much money for the amount of offensive fouls that he gives this team in the playoffs. And those are going to get even worse because the way they're calling and officiating as of late is going to make it worse. So Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be in even more trouble offensively. And I don't know how that's even fucking possible. His role has been reduced. His production has plummeted in comparison to what it was last year. I think it was comparable. It was fine last year. Julius Randle, for everyone who's saying, oh, Randle's not a postseason player. Yeah, bro, I think you need to accept that he's been better since he's gotten to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's clearly their second best player and is not even close. Now, this team is missing the production that Nickeil Alexander-Walker could have hypothetically provided to this team. Now, I don't know if his role would have fucking allowed for that, but hey. Oh, by the way, let me just toot my own horn real quick. Everyone who was telling me the Atlanta Hawks were going to be nice this season, oh my God, you were so wrong. You were so wrong, and I want my flowers. Because I told you niggas they were going to be ass. And people saying, man, you were wrong about the Magic being the man. I couldn't have predicted that Paulo would be this fucking trash for multiple years in a row. By the way, the statistics that I told you about him being like bad as the worst volume mid-range shooter or pull-up shooter or just of any jumper, to be quite honest. That's not just this year. That's all of his career. That's all of his career total. It's not better. It's not getting better either. Let's talk about the Rockets really quickly. Sengun. Okay, so remember when I was telling you about how like Jokic and Luka are like defensive problems in the postseason, and any time that they're on the court, you should be thinking, how can I get the switch onto them and pressure them so they're in foul trouble, so their team's offense is lacking? Well, Sengun is that, but like their offense would not be lacking with this motherfucker off the court. He is ass. Just like incredibly bad. And I know motherfuckers are gonna be telling me, shouldn't you be a little bit more professional about it and tell me why he's bad? No, I don't think that would come across as fluent, as efficient as what I'm saying to you right now. He's bad on the defensive end. He is worse, truly way worse than Jokic and Luka, because they are so good at reading the passing lanes that they can actually make things happen on the defensive end because of that ability, right? Because they think the game really highly. Sengun does not think the game highly at all, to no level at all. This team has no perimeter offense at all. And their interior offense is stalled by Sengun not being able to make the read. Remember when we were talking about Joel Embiid a couple of years ago and we were saying, I don't know how a guy who was supposed to be the guy on the team could make reads any fucked up and more slower, and how bad of a coaching job we were seeing out of the guy there before Nick Nurse. Ime needs to be fired. Because if Sengun is not developing at this point, and what they doubled down and got this KD error going on, they need to fire this man. The defense has frankly not been as. It's the same story as Orlando. Their defense was amazing last year. They added a guy who spent a lot for, right, in production, and maybe first round picks in the Orlando Magic case, and the offense is not enough, and it's because the guy who we thought was the guy of the team prior to the other one emerging or coming onto the roster simply isn't producing at the level that they need to produce on. And also, similar enough, the defense for Paulo is weird. It's not good. It's not good. And he often takes the assignment. I like the mentality of taking the assignment of one of the team's best players, even when it's not really one of the greatest matchups ever. But the execution of it is ass. Every time I've watched this man play, he takes the James Harden matchup every time he's played the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I've been watching those games because there's something that they need to be worried about in the postseason. And by worried about in the postseason, I mean they're going to probably see them. They've been ass. Every time he gets switched on to James Harden, I'm like, free money. Fried chicken alert. Fried chicken. And then Sengun, deep fried chicken, put some glaze on it, and barbecue him, brother. He's bad. He's bad on the defensive end, and the offensive production is not enough. So if you think I'm being hard on Luka and Jokic, just know I'm even harder on Sengun and Paolo Banchero, because not only are they not good on defense, they're below average defenders, or bad even. They are hell. You could say Sengun is fucking horrendous. Actually, I don't think I'm being hard enough on him. Actually, he's horrendous, and he's really like Domantas Sabonis, to be honest. My brother hates on Domantas Sabonis, and I say that's a weird amount of hate he gives to Sabonis. But genuinely, what does Sengun do? He's a poor man's Sabonis, which is a poor man's Jokic, which is a side grade Luka. So the tiers go Luka, Jokic, Sabonis, and then there's Sengun. Ass. So okay, that's enough of that. Sorry, guys. Let's talk about the dark horses really quickly. I know people are going to be like, you said they weren't contenders. Any guy who has got an MVP candidate on the roster who should be in serious contention for the award, and I mean discussions, but not actually going to be anywhere close to winning the award, because I mean if it don't go to Wemby or Shea, what are we doing? Are we smoking? Did they miss some games that I just missed? If it doesn't go to Shea or Wemby, I don't know what to tell you. Did you know the Spurs have lost 2 games since January? They've lost 2 games since January, dog. They've been amazing. They've been really good, and Wemby is a large part of that. And one of the 2 games that they've lost since then, Wemby didn't play. They've been crazy. The way they dominated the Thunder in those matchups that they played, and when they were healthy, that should not be underestimated. It shouldn't. It was belts. Anyway, that's enough. Jalen Brunson's going to have to do his thing in the postseason where he carries his team offensively. I'm super sorry, Knicks fans. Prepare for another season of mediocrity. Because OG Anunoby can have moments. Mikal Bridges could be the best three-point shooter, corner three-point shooter in the league. I do not care. They do not have a chance if they come out of the East. And they're not coming out of the East because remember Remember, the Celtics that you played last year are not the Celtics that you're going to play this year. Their defense is even better. They're less reliant on threes to really go in because because of how amazingly stifling their defense is on the perimeter. And remember when I just told you like that the inside offense is going to get a little harder in the postseason, and like there's going to be a lot of physicality and there's going to be a lot of offensive fouls from Karl-Anthony Towns. The Celtics do not have that problem. They got a role player big that goes to the basket, runs to the basket, and rolls really hard. Cat is not going to be able to guard him the entire season. The entire series, literally. He's going to get fucking destroyed. And if Mitchell Robinson's on the court, you know what they did to you last year. You will get fouled every single second that he's on the court. If your team has a playoff big that you can't trust to shoot free throws, like, at all, yeah, bro, you're not winning anything. Especially if that guy's a defensive big. Because you have to play that guy in moments where Cat is going to be off the floor. And guess what? That guy's unplayable. So unless the Knicks are planning to run through the East with a small ball lineup, yeah, kiss my ass. That ain't happening, brother. Are you running OG and Mikal Bridges at the power forward and center position, respectively? Are you? No? Mike Brown has not shown that he's willing to do that the entire season. That is not going to work. You're not contenders. If this team is not a contender, you sure as shit ain't a contender. Bye. Okay, contender talk. Like, really now. Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. These brothers are going to be They're going to be so problematic defensively just because of Wemby's existence, and they're not going to call those fouls that you've seen throughout the season where the offensive player just straight up. And I don't think I need to. Let me stand up so you can understand. I know I'm going to be a little bit out of frame and it's going to look a little weird, and my shirt's rolling up a little bit. Sorry, guys, but I'm not perfectly muscular. Those fouls where the defender is put in a position where they're standing like this, and the offensive player just runs straight through him. Yeah, that's an offensive foul, and it's been an offensive foul for the past this many years, 20 years. It's been an offensive foul for the past 20 years, and I've been watching basketball for the past 7 years, right? Back to 2018, right? As far as I've been watching, like, consistently, and with a formed frontal lobe, a formed one, a developing one at some points in time, but a formed one. That shit is not going to slide in the playoffs. That is getting called as an offensive foul the same way it used to be. You can't do that in the postseason. They're not going to call it. And the amount of things that offensive players have been getting away with this season, that off arm they've been hounding other players that aren't Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for using. Yo, they might start calling that an offensive foul. And when that happens in the postseason, do not be surprised. So if your favorite player needs to push off to get a little bit of separation, if your favorite player is afraid of zone, yo, it's about to get spooky. If your team doesn't run sets and is ISO heavy, oh, it's about to get terrible. Remember how we saw Shai look last season in the postseason, and how long it took him to adapt to that shit? How long it took him to really get them free throw stripes and get to the line consistently? How he had to learn it? Yo, if your player has to learn that this season, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And Donovan Mitchell, let me just explain the weaknesses of Donovan Mitchell really quickly, so people are understanding why it's not everyone else on the roster. It's Donovan too. His weaknesses and inconsistency as a free throw shooter and clutch moments has to be documented. His inability to hit three-pointers in certain games has to be documented, because that's the same shit I gave Tatum for his runs, except Tatum has proven time and time again that he is doing everything to get these niggas to the Eastern Conference Finals, at minimum. When he is healthy, they're going there. That's something that needs to be talked about and worried, and I haven't been giving him enough credit, and I haven't been discrediting this guy enough for the weaknesses that have been in this game. They've been holding him back, and that's why he's not consistently top 10 in the world for me. I'm sorry that I haven't been giving Tatum his flowers. I'm sorry I haven't been giving Jaylen Brown their flowers, because when I watch everyone else, I don't see the things that they do, and I'm sorry that I have been discrediting this team for so long because I've been hating on them, but I'm not going to stop hating on them. That's not happening. They still play Boston. They still play in Boston. Can't stop. It's who I am. But I have to give them their flowers, because a real hater gives the niggas his flowers. Anyway, transition back to the San Antonio Spurs. I know the video's been all over the place, but it's been passionate. It's been fun. I love this. Oh, actually, no. Go back to the Thunder. Let's go. Okay, so. Think with me, guys. Summoning. I'm summoning. Show up to the hummus session. I'm summoning. All right. I'm sorry, I can't. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be the exact same guy that we've seen the entire season. He has been even better than he's been last year, and he's ready for this playoff run. I don't worry about him. I am assuming that they're going to have a lot of playmaking by committee this season, something similar to what they did last year, but it's going to be even harder to stop. They have Jared McCain now. Kasem Wallace is taking a step up. Lou Dort is taking a step down. That's good for this team. Hartenstein has not been floater man this year. He started off as floater man, and I have yet to really see that pop up again. It's like they overpaid him for the first year of his contract, and now it's like, yeah, no, we weren't expecting the same offense production from you as you gave us last year, but like, nothing? I don't know. Also, this team really doesn't have that corner 3-point shooter that I'm looking for in them. And then you're thinking to yourself, isn't that being oddly specific and like cherry picky? And that's also something that you see in the San Antonio Spurs, which is why you're looking for it in this team. Yeah, it is. I'm biased. Yeah, you're right. No, but the shooting from this team can be inconsistent and sometimes, and their offense can be, frankly, just bad at times. Their offense is very predicated on their defense being good. And also, by the way, I don't know why I didn't mention Alex Caruso. My bad. I'm sorry. Big dog. Bald eagle. Bald nigga. Yeah, anyway, Caruso is going to be very important for this team. The way they swipe, I do think that this team, seeing how they're officiating right now and the league is changing as a whole and how they're moving closer and closer to the same stuff that we've seen from the playoffs in previous years, that's good for this team. The way they squat and swipe at the ball, that's something that's not going to change. That's going to be good. And that's why Detroit would have been so fun to watch this season, because they foul intentionally and they do not foul soft, brother. If they're like, you can't call everything. So they start the game, right? The ref blows the whistle immediately. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't do the thing that you want me to do. It wouldn't even come across good on the video, so don't even ask. They call that. Guess what? Oh, nigga think he gonna come into the post and do it? Dang, nigga, stop smacking me. Fuck you wanna do about it? Oh, for real? Next play. Get the ball. Get in the post up. Pull the share from you. Now you tilt it. I'm so serious when I say this. The Detroit Pistons were actively inventing and using rage bait as a way of defending people. they were using that as a way of defending people. And I'm sorry if they matched up in the cat. By the way, there's a chance they could still see them. The Knicks could still wind up in that. I'm not really sure how the bracket would have to swing out for that to work, but that's a chance that could still happen. If they see them, I don't know, because Boston and New York both have the ability to escape that 2 and 3 zone where one of them could be in the 1 seed. Yeah, dog, it could get spooky. That's also why Cleveland has been not really in the mood to like hurry it up on the timetable, and any of their guys are like, dude, I want to see Detroit. Fuck it. Give me JB Bickerstaff in the postseason. I'm ready for his ass. You're not ready for him, little bro. You're not. It's cute that you think you are, though. Spurs, OKC. Talked about Denver. Denver's an inability, and so just like, by the way, Aaron Gordon finally looked like Aaron Gordon to me. I'm good with that. I don't really know about his 3-point shooting though. That's to be determined. Jamal Murray has been their best player consistently throughout the season. That's problematic. It's not enough. Jokic has been better as far as turning the ball over. He's responding to like playoff intensity, kind of like basketball at the end of the season, really well. I think that's good. Those are good signs. Still not putting them in McIntosh status. They're not. I'm sorry. No. Can't do it. No. Don't ask. Should I put the Nuggets in contender status or do something else? Nah. Think about the gas prices. You've seen that video. If you haven't, you haven't. I highly encourage you to look up. Should I go around or run this liver over? I'm not doing it. Nah. No. Nah. No. Nah. No. It's running guy over. Anyway, That's pretty much gonna do it for me. I've talked about every contender. So again, let me tell you the contenders really quickly, so everyone can get their panties out of a bunch. It's Boston. It's Oklahoma City Thunder. It's the San Antonio Spurs. These are the teams that if they won the championship, everyone would be like, damn, dog, they had a really good season. I can't say anything about it. Tough. These are the dark horses. And I don't feel like I really needed to explain as detailed as I could, but I didn't think I needed to. These are the dark horses. The Lakers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Lakers, Cleveland Cavaliers, and we're gonna throw Minnesota in there. There's gonna be 3 in that team. The pretenders are just teams. Pretend. Honestly, just the guys who have no shot, even with them being in the postseason. Houston and Orlando, and let me just throw Detroit in there. Fuck it, they're not winning shit without Cade. That's that team. That's 3 in pretenders. I don't even think they're pretenders. They don't have a shot. And let me show you. And this is the pretender tier. The team where like there are expectations for them to be a championship team, and they're not going to meet it. They just probably won't, most likely. If they do, hats off to them. Will they? Probably not. Let's put the New York Knicks in that tier. Let's put the Denver Nuggets in that tier. And let me go out west again. Who do I want to put there? Pretenders. Oof. Actually, that's. I'm looking for my NBA hoodie. For those who are wondering. Nuggets. Wow, then it's probably just really them. It's the Nuggets. No, let's swap the pretender and the dark horses real quick. Let's swap the Nuggets with the Lakers. I think they're pretenders. I don't think anyone should have expectations of them winning a championship, obviously, but like they will because they're LA. Yeah, swap those 2. Yeah, that'll do it. I don't think these teams have a chance. Why am I doing an Australian accent? Don't worry about that, mate. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You want more passionate videos from your black excellent YouTubers? Yeah, subscribe. I'll finish the video and I'll throw a shrimp on the barbie or something. I don't know, mate. Cheers.